Hi guys! I wanted to show you guys my Twice collection today. So I think I'm going to do two videos for photo cards, and I'm going to start with my album collection. So basically, for a little background on Twice, currently I collect 5 members. I collect Nayeon, Momo, Sana, Dahyun, and Jihyo. And then for like the pre-order things that come with the albums or anything that typically comes in a set of 9, so monograph cards or let's see, the like Japanese release sets, those I usually will keep in like the sets of 9. And I kind of wanted to do this because I'm conflicted a little bit on what I want to keep doing with my Twice collection. So I'll talk about that as I'm going through stuff, and you guys can tell me about your experiences with collecting and if you've ever been in a similar position as me. But let's get started. So I haven't shown you guys these types of binders yet, and I use Ultra Pro binders for pretty much everything other than Luna or some random collections, which I'll show at some point. But especially for Twice and for Dreamcatcher, I use these 9-pocket page Ultra Pro binders. For album cards, I've made it through 3 of these so far, and you'll see I initially had the ambitious goal of using a binder that matched the members' color in order. So our first one is Nayeon's color, which is blue, and I mean Chewy also has dark blue, but this was close to Nayeon's blue. I also have these cute stickers that I got from someone on Instagram, Not Zelda Trades. I think they also have Not Zelda art. I'll include a link in the description. They had made these cute little lovely stickers, and I have a set of them for my binders. Clearly, if I've only made it to, through 3 colors, I've got Nayeon's, Jonghyun's, and Momo's, but, that is what it is. But they're really cute, and for something that doesn't give you a lot of customization, like you don't have a cover you can make for it, that's one way I like to spice up my binders. With these, I also, not always, but I tend to skip the first page just because with the way I organize my Twice album cards, they just don't like lay out quite as nicely. And you'll see what I mean by that when I flip the page. But okay, so here is our first album for Twice, and the story begins. We had the 2 types of baby cards and then the not baby cards, as well as the subunits, and this is what I meant by why I skip the first page. It just works out nicely with 5 members that if I have either some subunit cards or other member cards I really like from that era, or just placeholders, extra pre-orders, whatever it may be, I can just put them here on the side kind of as like a era indicator. So let's talk a little bit. For this card, this was the Taiwan version of the Story Begins album, and that's why Sana's card has different angled corners. I never bothered to like track down the Korean version of it, so I just have the slightly not correct era, but it's all the same, and at least to me, it's all the same. So let's talk about Twice. Twice is one of my favorite groups, and I would say that Girls' Generation is the group that got me into K-pop, but Twice is really kind of the group that got me into collecting K-pop. And one of the first albums, not the first album, but one of the first albums I got was the Page 2 album. And I remember getting one of the photo cards and just being like, okay, what is this? What do I do with it? And like put it back in the album and was like, okay, cool. Because I didn't really get collecting at the time, and I didn't really start collecting photo cards until I think maybe like 2017, but I got into K-pop in like 2012-ish. So I also used to be one of those people where I would see them release a bunch of different album versions, and I'd be like, why would you buy multiple versions of the same thing? It has all the same music. So I bought the blue version, or teal, I don't remember if they had official names, the teal version for Page 2, and it's like, that's good, that's it. And now as you can tell from my group orders and everything else, where there's been multiple album versions. And not only have I bought all of the album versions, I've bought like a gazillion versions of those same albums. So, or a gazillion copies of those albums. So, it's what K-pop does to you, I guess. But let's see. I really liked this set. I'm not a huge fan of the lenticular cards in general, which Twice has done a fair number of them, but I do like these quite a bit. And one thing you guys will realize is that I don't have a complete set for every era, for every member. I do have up to Eyes Wide Open. I'm pretty sure, I have to double check. I'll find out as I go through this. I'm pretty sure I have Nayeon complete. And that's because Nayeon is, in all of K-pop, one of my like ultimate biases for sure. So she has always been one of my collecting priorities. And then I have gone through a few different iterations of collecting with Twice. So at one point I was collecting Nayeon and Sana, and then I expanded out to Momo, and then I dropped Momo, and then I restarted with Momo, and then I also added Dahyun and Jihyo. So I've kind of gone through some fluctuations, which is why not every set is complete. So with these, for example, these are the Thailand edition cards, and I do love these, but especially now they've gotten pretty difficult to find. And even if you can find them, it's really hit or miss sometimes with like what the pricing might be. So even, Jihyo and Dahyun tend to be kind of on the cheaper end for collecting, but you're still usually looking at like 30-ish or more dollars per card, and that can be kind of a lot. And I'm at least pretty confident that all of these are out of print at this point, so there isn't even the benefit of being able to like just buy a bunch of albums for like 20 something or whatever it might be. So these are not complete. Nayeon is for all of the Thailand cards, and then they stopped releasing Thailand editions after Twice-tagram. So I have them set up a little weird, obviously. This was just The Story Begins and page 2, and this is The Story Begins page 2 and Twice Coaster Lane 1. But there's only so many ways you can organize things. So whatever. So no placeholders here and some gaps. But hey, like, it is what it is. And I used to be, I don't know, I used to like fill placeholder spots for things that I was missing, but I've kind of just stopped worrying about that as much. And it doesn't bother me the way it used to. It used to really irritate me when I would see gaps in my collection, but especially now that I'm kind of unsure of what I'm doing with all of these cards, I'm like less stressed about that. So then we have Twice Coaster Lane 1. And I loved TT. It was probably the song that was like, okay, Twice is one of my alt groups. Like, I loved that song, and I love this album in general. I've always really, really enjoyed Twice. I didn't like fully, when 16 was airing, I started kind of late into watching it, and then I had to like catch back up on all of the stuff, or all of the episodes. And when that was airing, Sana was one of my like favorite members. She was just so cute and adorable, and her making it wasn't sushi, what did she make? The spring roll. It was just like the most endearing thing possible. And here's gaps again. But it's still cute. Oh, and then these are the foldable standees. Oops, sorry for the sound. But I had realized when you folded them, they fit nicely in the binder. So that's what I've done with those. So Sana was one of my favorites, Nayeon was my other fave right away, and then Momo also was one of my favorites, and obviously there was all the drama over Momo getting eliminated and then re-added, but I'm so glad she is in the group. Signal was one of my favorite eras. I loved Signal. I know that not everyone did. I think it's still a great song. And then we have our first Japanese album, and I'm missing Momo's ID card for that. And then these were again the Signal Thailand cards, which I do love the Thailand cards. They're just kind of difficult at this point. So I'm not sure what I'm doing with those. And then Twistagram. And I still love this album as well. Oh, and then I've got a random Jungyeon here because I love this card. It's just so cute. And then that was the last round of the Thailand edition cards and albums. And then we've got more of our Japanese releases. And with these, the member cards are harder to pull. I'm sure most of you guys probably know this, but if you pulled one of these, they then came with the application info for going to high five events, high touch events, and you would take your card with you and then they would photo punch this. So typically cards that are unpunched will still go for a little more than cards that have been punched, but I also am not that picky about that. I care more about completing it. So even with this Dahyun, someone had cut the bottom off of their card, that Jihyo as well, but that's fine. Okay, Merry and Happy, and I have Mina's card here because it's just so cute. And then I also had 2 other member cards here. I've got a Chaeyoung and Jungyeon. Let's see. Oh, and this is still one of my favorite Nayeon cards. It's just so cute. What is Love? This was when JYP officially lost his mind and was like, yeah, let's do an insane number of cards every single album. At this point, I guess we'll just talk about it because I'm trying to sort of work through this myself right now. But I think it's important to recognize when some collections aren't necessarily as fun for you as they once were, and Twice, unfortunately, has kind of become one of those collections for me where I just don't have the same motivation to complete it and keep up with the number of cards that they're currently releasing in light of other groups that I'm constantly trying to keep up with. And oh, by the way, before I go off this card is my favorite photo card in existence. It's so funny. I mean, I love What Is Love and the music video, but that Dahyun card is just one of my absolute favorites in all of K-pop collecting. So back to the less fun topic, which is just that I'm not sure how I want to go about collecting Twice right now. I still love collecting Twice, and I still love Twice, but collecting 5 members or all of the photo cards they release is just becoming quite a lot to keep up with. So I'm sort of at a point of trying to decide what I do with some of my collection. I know for a fact I will absolutely be keeping my Nayeon collection. And I'm thinking right now is that for each era, I may just decide to keep an additional member set, or a few, maybe I would keep this Nayeon card and then my 2 favorites out of these, and then not keep tied to specific members as much as just the cards that I like for those members. And it's hard, I think, because whenever you're collecting a lot and you have one of these collections that you've had for a long time, because as I mentioned, even though I kind of started collecting actively and actually trading or buying cards in 2017, that's a few years at this point, and I'm one of those people that gets weirdly emotionally attached to my photo cards. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do and what I'll feel happiest with, which is what it is. But that's part of why I wanted to do this and share what I currently have and see what you guys have done when you've felt sort of similar, and I don't know, just have an open conversation about collecting. This is one of the Dance the Night Away broadcast cards. I don't really collect broadcast cards. I don't know if the focus. Yes? No? Okay. But I really loved Dance the Night Away, and I loved this Nayeon card. And then I kept a few of Chaeyoung's cards, and I have a Jungyeon card here as well. But I kept some Chaeyoung cards because I loved her red hair for Summer Nights, and I think it was BDZ, that era. And then again, some gaps, but you know, that's my weakness. Like, I'll just decide, I'm like, I really want to collect this member's stuff because I think they look adorable right now. But yeah, Dance the Night Away was really fun. It's probably still my favorite summer song of Twice. I can't remember what else came out between, like, Alcohol Free was okay. That's my opinion. I actually really liked the album, but that wasn't quite it for me. And then more Japanese releases. And again, as I had kind of mentioned, I decided to collect Jihyo and Dahyun a little later than when I had started collecting Nayeon and Sana and then Momo. So I usually am missing their stuff. And then that is the first, oh, I have to cut that. That was the first binder. These were the Once Fandom cards, and I forgot that my name is on them. So you're gonna get a moment of me cutting that, I'm sure. But I have them in the back of my binder, and I don't think we've gotten anything for like a new Once. I don't remember honestly even when the last round of that was like technically supposed to end. Maybe it's still ongoing, but I don't think we've gotten anything being like time to renew. So okay, next binder. And now we've got our green binder, so Jungyoung colored. So Yes or Yes, which again is a really cute era. I really like this set. And I do really appreciate when there's sets like this that are a little less only selfie based or, you know, things like that. And then I had collected, I think it wasn't each member's Yes or Yes card, like the little hand cards, but I did have one extra person. And then the Year of Yes, and I loved The Best Thing I Ever Did. It was such a sweet song, and I don't have all the member stickers. I'm pretty sure I only have Sana, Dahyun, and then do I have Mina? Yes, I have a random Mina here. I had at one point purchased Nayeon's, and then it got lost, and I just never bothered to re-find it, because with other album inclusions, it's just hard to always, at least for me, it's hard to want to keep all of them because they're just awkward sized items versus things that just easily go in here. But that's that. I love this set. I love the coloring and all of their outfits. And then for the Japanese album cards that then were released in sets of 9. So I think it was this repackage, the BBZ repackage, and one other one, but I'm forgetting the name at the moment. They gave all 9 members in the album, and I didn't want to put those in my pre-order or other binders because they were album cards, so they're kind of awkwardly put in here. So I have them broken up a little strangely, so I've got Jungyeon, Mina, Chaeyoung, Chewy here, and then I've got our other 5 right here, and then I have the Twice the Best 2 albums, or the second whatever, and the IDs. And I did love the styling here, and I love Dahyun's hair so much. It was so pretty. I'm like a sucker for any of the pastel colored hairs that we ever get. And then Fancy, I think up until that point Signal had continued to be my favorite title track from Twice, and then Fancy came around and just like destroyed that for me. So Fancy was just such a special era to me, especially because I was able to go to the Twice Lights concert in Chicago, so it was really special. And oh yeah, I have it right, I have the, gosh, yeah, it's kind of hard to show it, but I have the magnet that came with the VIP package, I can't remember. I love the ring pop cards, it's just so cute. And then this was me breaking rules for myself yet again with the Happy, Happy, and Breakthrough albums. And this was probably the best luck I've ever had with their Japanese releases. I think I pulled most of these cards, and I had pulled Chaeyoung's cards and then was just like too attached to them to let them go. So I did the double spread for like the double pages for them just because I really liked how these all looked and didn't want to let go of Chaeyoung's cards. And then Feel Special. And for this set, I did kind of try and do each member that I don't typically collect got like a little moment too. So I've got Chaeyoung over here, 3 of Junghyun's cards here, and then Mina. And Chewy. I love this card as well. This was actually the showcase card. I don't remember if that's actually what it was technically called, but like what you got for going to, yeah, and it doesn't say on the back. But I think it was the showcase, and it's hollow. I don't know if that's coming up on the camera at all. No, that's fine. And Feel Special is also one of those eras that just really meant a lot to me. I really enjoyed this era, and I loved the album and song. And then these are broadcast cards, so I have Nayeon and Jihyo here. Initially, my plan was to try and collect my 5 main members for that era, but again, these just got really expensive really fast, and I didn't feel like doing that, so I've got my 2 here, and that's good. And then this is admittedly where my collection starts to have more gaps. These cards I think were kind of difficult, but not too bad. The Twice and cards, I don't remember if I have, there were 2 different versions, and I don't remember if any of mine were, let's see, no, these were all the same. But some have a slightly different back, and they're a little more difficult to find. And then this was the repackage, the And Twice repackage, which they had a set of 9 in. So I did my like weird spread here. And then we've got More and More, and I, despite not loving More and More a ton, I really loved the photo cards for this era. They were so gorgeous. And I actually really like the subunit cards. We hadn't had them for a while, but they're all just so cute. And I mean, I just loved the whole setup of these. So still one of my favorite sets for sure. And as always, love Jihyo's pink hair. I love all the pastel colors. And then we have our little subunit sets here too. And I decided to collect the full 9 for these cards because I just thought they were so stunning. So that's why they are set here on their own little page at the back. All right, okay, so last binder. And this is this is where there's just a lot of gaps. And because the cards for this, the Japanese cards, just got really expensive and really hard to find. So we have like the fanfare albums, and there were 2 different types. Well, there were a bunch of different types, but there was the normal fanfare, and then there was an edition that was Once Japan member exclusive that also had individual member cards. So I have the Once Japan membership group card right here. Yeah, it's not focusing. But I don't have Nayeon's card for that album. I do have her just the normal version. And then we've got the Twice 3rd best album. And I pulled her ID at one point, but I have not tracked down her just member photo card. Better, Kurakura, and Perfect World just also recently came out. And I haven't bought any of those because, as you guys probably know, the Japanese albums are pretty expensive and they're usually like jewel cases. I don't always want to drop like $80 on Japanese like jewel case albums and maybe pull a memory card, but more likely pull a group card. So it's just been weird. That's why there's just this weird gap here. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at for that. And then Eyes Wide Open. I had mixed feelings about this era. Like, the songs did end up growing on me more than I liked them initially, if that makes sense. But this is kind of what I was saying, where I started to lose steam a little bit for collecting all of the stuff that Twice drops. And I think too there was a bit of a timing issue for me, which was that Luna was doing 8 million fan signs at the same time that this album came out. And we also had the election happening. So it was really hard. If you were in the US and collecting at the time, like Instagram, which is where I do most of my trading, like didn't have tags active for the longest time in the US because of like misinformation that was being spread. So it was really hard to find trades. At least for me, it was really hard to find trades. So that kind of like stilted my progress on Eyes Wide Open for a while. And even with Luna, I kind of had just lucked out because since I was doing 8 million fan signs for it, I was able to like pull most of the cards I needed. But yeah, that was a weird time. Very weird. But there are a lot of gaps here. And I don't know if other than for sure trying to complete Nyan, I don't know how I want to go about completing this set of stuff for this era. I do love this flower set. I think those are gorgeous cards. So I did actually, now that I'm looking at it, so this is the Kurakura set, and I had found a pretty good deal on these at Zen Market. Like, I use them for getting some of my Japanese stuff sometimes, and someone was selling a whole set of these for like 60 bucks, I think. So these thankfully weren't that hard to get. Oh yeah, because what I was gonna say is like just these in general, and I mean the ones were definitely hard, but like some of these cards were just impossible to pull, so they were all really expensive for a while. And I bought this set because I loved this styling. It was just so pretty. Like, these cards were a gorgeous set. And then we have Taste of Love, and I'm incomplete on this still. I do really like these drink cards, so I'm trying to do the drink cards up here, and then the other members' drink cards here. And JYP dropped down to less cards per album, or not less cards per album, but in general, less cards. So we dropped down to 5 plus the inclusions versus 9 or 10 per member, which is definitely more doable, but I'm still kind of behind on completing this at this point. And then we have the lenticulars here, and that's where we're at. So that would be my Twice album collection, and I will show you guys all of my other cards, probably in a second video, just because if you haven't noticed, all of my videos tend to be obnoxiously long because I can't shut up during them. So a lot to get through on that end, and I also have one binder of my rare Nyan cards, so I will show that as well. It's always tough, I think, when you're trying to decide how you want to proceed with collecting a group, especially a group like, there's nothing about Twice that I don't still really love. It's just collecting wise, I'm having like maybe more fun collecting cards from other groups, which just kind of, it's a shift in the priorities for cards. So we'll see what I do. I mean, if you don't already follow my stuff, I'll probably be posting like photo cards for sale. My main is Milk Tea Moonbeam, and then I have my sales account that's tied to that. I definitely am going to keep collecting Nyan, and I will show you guys all of my albums and everything like that too at some point soon. That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!